Welcome to the channel Darkness in the Night. Tonight, I will tell you a horror story set deep in the remote highlands of Tay Nguyen, where an old mansion known as Mansion 13 still stands. This place once witnessed gruesome deaths, where cries of agony still linger in the shadows. And tonight, you will follow the steps of the main character, a young man named Huyen Tam, as he returns to the cursed land. Late afternoon, the winding red dirt road curled along the mountain slope. Winds from the ancient forest blew out, carrying the musty scent of rotting leaves and damp air. From afar came the constant hum of insects, mixed with the frantic calls of lost birds. Huyen Tam walked slowly. On his shoulder hung an old cloth bag, and at his side dangled a bronze talisman. Tarnished with age, sweat dotted his forehead, yet his chest felt cold. Every step dragged him back to memories long sealed away since childhood. Beside him walked the one-eyed old man, thin and frail. His face was carved with hardship, leaving only one eerie, piercing eye that seemed to see straight into a person's soul. In his hand, he carried a bamboo staff, tapping it steadily against the ground with each step. The sky shifted to an ashen gray. The wind grew sharper. Above them, black clouds rolled and swirled, signaling an oncoming storm. Suddenly, Huyen Tam collapsed to his knees, clutching his stomach. A sharp pain shot from his chest, spreading through his veins like hundreds of worms crawling against the flow of blood. He gritted his teeth, gasping for air. "God, it hurts?" The one-eyed old man turned back, frowning. "The sickness again, huh? Stay calm. Breathe deep. You must not let the inner poison awaken." Huyen Tam swallowed hard, his lips turning blue, his vision blurred, and flashes of images struck his mind. The shriek of a woman, blood splattered across wooden floors, and the towering shadow of a mansion engulfed in flames. His voice cracked as he cried out, "Mother, I'm so scared." The one-eyed old man quickly steadied him, pulling out a small talisman. "Bite this. Crush it. Swallow it. The charm will suppress the poison." Shaking, Huyen Tam shoved it into his mouth. The metallic tang of blood filled his tongue, making him gag. Moments later, the pain began to fade, but dread still lingered deep inside. Their path led to a shabby hut by a dark stream. The water ran pitch black, reflecting no light, like a cold scar across the forest. The hut, built from scrap wood and roofed with rotting leaves, leaned precariously as though it might collapse at any moment. Inside sat an old man mending fishing nets, with a few frail goats panting weakly at his side. One of his legs was shriveled, forcing him to walk with a wooden crutch. His sunburnt face was wrinkled and weary, his eyes half wary, half worn by life. The old man looked up. "Oh, strangers, huh? The storm's coming. Come inside and rest for a while." The one-eyed old man nodded and pulled Huyen Tam in. They sat by the dim fire. Smoke burned their eyes. The stench of goat dung mixing with ash filled the air. In the corner lay an old, dusty opium pipe. The one-eyed old man stepped over, picked it up, and inhaled deeply. "This thing still works, doesn't it?" Huyen Tam panicked. "Don't put it down. Something feels wrong about that pipe. It could be cursed." The old man waved him off with a sneer. "I'm already half in the grave. What's there to fear?" Before his words faded, he drew another long breath, then suddenly convulsed, coughing violently. His face turned purple, eyes rolled back, white foam bubbling at his lips. His body trembled and collapsed onto the floor. The hut's owner cried out in terror. "Heavens above, is he dead?" But the one-eyed old man was not yet dead. In the throes of seizure, his mouth released broken words, chilling and dissonant, as though whispered from some faraway void. 3 days, the stream, red like blood, the goats will die. Mansion 13, demands the child. The air in the hut thickened. Wind whistled through the cracks. The fire in the hearth flared green. A goat outside bleated desperately, then fell silent, choked off mid-cry. Huyen Tam clutched his head, heart racing. A whisper slid into his ears. "I see as death. Go back, the house is waiting." He shouted, terrified. "Who's there? Who's here?" In the dark corner, Shadows shifted, someone crouched, eyes glowing faintly, but in the blink of an eye, it was gone. The one-eyed old man stirred, breathing ragged, his voice hoarse. The prophecy has been spoken, it foretells disaster. The hut owner trembled, hands clasped in prayer. Master, Mansion 13 is a place of demons. For decades, no one dares go near. Why does its name return now? The one-eyed old man fixed his gaze on him, that single eye glinting eerily. From his pouch, he drew a strip of red paper, cut his fingertip, and painted strange symbols in blood. Burn this in the fire. Scatter the ashes around the house. If you don't, the stranger in your hut will never leave. Terrified, the old man bowed quickly. Yes, I'll do it at once. Outside, the wind howled, the black stream churned, its murmur rising like the weeping of children from the depths. Huyen Tam gripped his talisman tight, whispering to himself, Mansion 13, why are you calling me back? Lightning split the sky, thunder shook the hut. In that brief flash, in the corner, stood the tall shadow of a man, silent, his eyes glowing red, fixed on Huyen Tam's belly. Cold dread coursed through him as a broken whisper echoed in the dark. The child is mine? Night fell quickly. Thunder rumbled across the sky, and the wind roared, scattering dry leaves wildly at the forest's edge. The rickety hut swayed, its gaps letting in the damp, icy air. The old hutkeeper hurried to stoke the fire. Flames flickered, lighting his wrinkled, terrified face. He muttered prayers under his breath, then took the blood-stained talisman given by the one-eyed old man and tossed it into the hearth. The ashes rose with a metallic stench, swirling black before falling. Smoke spread through the hut, pressing the air heavy and suffocating. The old man trembled. Ancestors, please protect us. Drive the spirits away. Don't let them stay here. Suddenly, a faint sound stirred in the corner. Footsteps, slow, dragging, heavy. From the darkness stepped a gaunt man in tattered clothes. His face grotesquely twisted. He smiled faintly. Good evening. I only wish to stay here a while. The hutkeeper's face went pale. Backing away. Ong Ba, why are you here? Don't you have that grand mansion out there? The man called Ong Ba tilted his head, eyes glowing red in the firelight. His voice rasped, broken. That house has been abandoned too long, so cold. I only need warmth, for now. The one-eyed old man gripped his staff and stood, his single eye locked on Ong Ba. Silence filled the hut, broken only by the pounding rain on the thatched roof. Ong Ba stepped closer, his breath foul. The fire revealed his bony hands, nails grown long like claws. He paused at the hearth, staring at the talisman's ashes, and smirked. You want to cast me out? Not so easily. His whisper dragged on, chilling the spine. Huyen Tam trembled, blurting out, Who are you? What do you truly want? Ong Ba slowly turned, his red eyes blazing brighter. The child is mine? At that, his body dissolved into a cloud of black smoke, slipping through the cracks of the hut, leaving behind the stench of blood. The old hutkeeper collapsed, clutching his head. Heaven help us, he's truly returned. The one-eyed old man tightened his grip on the staff, his voice grave. As I thought, the vengeful soul in Mansion 13 has never rested. Outside, the forest howled with what seemed like thousands of wailing voices. By morning, the skies cleared, but the ground still reeked of last night's blood-stained stench. Huyen Tam and his master left the hut, pressing deeper into the woods. The narrow path was lined with towering ancient trees. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting streaks like blood. Birds sang, mingling with the hollow knocking of woodpeckers, echoing like a funeral dirge. Eventually, they reached a sparse village clinging to the mountainside. Houses lay in ruins. Villagers moved like shadows, their eyes burdened with dread. A woman with a conical hat clutched her child and ducked into her doorway at the sight of strangers, whispering, "Outsiders, don't look, or you'll invite misfortune." In a roadside shack, old men sipped rice wine and murmured, "Did you hear? Last night, Mr. Locke's family from the city moved into the mansion. Madness. Don't they know anyone who enters never lasts a week? Ong Ba sold it cheap. But, Mr. Locke's daughter-in-law, she's heavily pregnant. At those words, a shiver ran through Huyen Tam. The venom in his blood pulsed. And from deep inside came a whisper. It has chosen. He clutched his hand tight, groaning softly. No, I won't allow it. The one-eyed old man watched him, shaking his head. Fate has brought us back. Mansion 13 is the knot we must untangle. They pressed on, until at last a rusted iron gate loomed before them. On it, the faded number, 13, appeared. The corroded metal streaked like dried blood. Beyond stood a massive French-style mansion. Walls draped in moss, windows shattered, roof sagging. The wind howled through its hollow corridors, moaning like the dying. From afar, a dog's howl pierced the silence, then stopped abruptly. The air turned dead still. Huyen Tam froze. Memories shattered inside his mind. Screams. Blood flowing. His mother collapsing on the floor. He gripped his talisman tight, his heart pounding. A faint voice brushed his ear, rising from the depths of the earth. My child, you have returned. He gasped, whispering, Mother, is that you? The wind rushed cold. No answer came. Only the creak of the mansion's doors, slowly opening, beckoning him in. Dash dash dash. The heavy gates screeched open, revealing a vast courtyard blanketed in dry leaves. Broken tiles, slick with moss, crunched underfoot. The air was thick, reeking of mold, like corpses left to rot for ages. Huyen Tam stepped forward cautiously. Each time his foot touched the ground, it felt as though icy hands were clutching at his ankles. His master followed behind, staff tapping, his gaze somber. The mansion's front doors creaked open on their own. Inside was pitch black, a cavernous void. A blast of frigid wind rushed out, carrying the coppery stench of blood, suffocating them. Huyen Tam trembled. I don't want to go in. This place, it feels like it already swallowed me once before. The one-eyed old man pressed a heavy hand on his shoulder. Afraid or not, you must step inside. Only here can you find the truth of your fate. From the darkness came faint moans of women, mingled with the cries of children. The sounds stabbed into Huyen Tam's mind like 1,000 needles. Clutching his talisman, he shouted, Silence, what do you want from me? The whispers answered, broken and hollow. To live, to be free? Faint shadows appeared on the damp walls, twisted faces, eyes bulging, mouths gaping, black blood pouring forth. They pressed forward, as if trying to claw their way out of the stone. Suddenly, a door on the second floor burst open, releasing a shrill, piercing laugh. A woman's screeching voice echoed down. You're too late? My daughter-in-law is already inside. She will bear me a child. Huyen Tam staggered, horror flashing across his face. Daughter-in-law? Is it Lin? The laughter stopped dead. The mansion fell into suffocating silence. Only his racing heartbeat thundered in his ears. From the cracked wall, a skeletal hand shot out, seizing his wrist with bone-chilling force. He screamed, Let me go! Help! The one-eyed old man flung down his staff, chanting. A blue flame erupted, consuming the ghastly hand. A shriek tore through the halls, mingling with the stench of burning flesh. As the smoke cleared, a long hallway stretched ahead. Crooked paintings of French aristocrats hung askew, their eyes dripping blood. A chandelier swayed overhead, creaking, casting dim, sickly light. They pressed on, ascending the creaking wooden stairs. With every step, dust and mildew rose, carrying the stench of decay. At the top, a bedroom door stood ajar. From within came the faintest lullaby. Trembling, hush, sleep well, sleep in flesh and blood. The distorted voice of a woman lingered. Huyen Tam shook violently, clutching his talisman. Mother, are you in there? No answer. Only a soft giggle echoed from behind him. He spun around, nothing but darkness. Then, the door flung open. A woman stood there, long hair disheveled, clad in a blood-stained white gown, cradling a writhing bundle wrapped in red cloth. Her face was pale, her eyes pitch black. She tilted her head and whispered, My child, you've come, take it. The bundle squirmed, letting out a shrill cry. overlapping with the wails of hundreds of children. Their screams shook the corridor like thunder. Huyen Tam collapsed, clutching his head, stammering, "No, I don't want it. I'm not their father." The woman laughed hideously, her voice echoing, "You cannot escape, your blood is bound to this mansion?" A violent gust blew through. The chandelier crashed down, shattering. The hallway was plunged into darkness, lit only by the fiery glow of the talisman burning in the one-eyed old man's hand. The master roared, "Out, now! Tonight is not the time to face them. Stay, and both of us will be devoured alive." He dragged Huyen Tam down the stairs. Screams, laughter, and children's cries swelled around them. The main doors slammed shut, blocking their path. They hurled their weight against it. The doors burst open. They stumbled into the courtyard, gasping for air. Glancing back, the mansion stood silent, as though untouched. Only a window on the second floor stood open, where a slender figure lingered, her hair streaming in the wind. A whisper carried through the night. "Until we meet again, I'll be waiting." Huyen Tam collapsed onto the ground, cold sweat drenching him. The venom in his veins writhed violently, like a serpent trying to crawl out of his flesh. He cried out in despair, "No, I won't let you take another soul." Darkness spilled from the mansion, flooding the courtyard. The Highland night trembled with eerie howls, heralding the tragedy yet to unfold. Dawn broke. Thick gray clouds still hung over the mountains and forest, blocking the weak sunlight from piercing the canopy. Crows circled the mansion with eerie cries, then shot off into the sky. In the large room on the second floor, the Locke family, who had just moved in, was still unloading their belongings. Mr. Locke was tall and thin, his face worn. He tried to appear calm. His wife, Mrs. Tho, fussed with the kitchen. The eldest son stacked luggage, while the daughter-in-law Lin sat propped on the bed, her hand on a swollen pregnant belly. Lin frowned slightly. "Mother, I feel so cold in here, like someone is staring at me." Mrs. Tho hurriedly waved her hand. "Don't dwell on it. We bought this place cheap. You have to put up with a little discomfort." Ong Ba said it's been abandoned for a long time. That's why it's moldy. Mr. Locke spoke in a low voice. "Yes, just stay temporarily. Once the work's done we'll go back to town. We won't be staying long." A child's laughter echoed somewhere, yet there were no children in the house. Lin shuddered, her face going pale. "Father, Mother, I hear a baby crying, right beside my ear." The family froze for a few seconds. Outside, only the wind howled. Mr. Locke barked loudly, as if trying to drown out the fear. "It's your imagination. Don't make a fuss." At that moment, the old mirror in the corner creaked and cracked down a long line. Lin's reflection in the glass distorted, her pregnant belly bulged unnaturally, moving as if something were crawling inside. Lin screamed, clutching her belly and collapsing onto the bed. "Oh God, help me, something's inside me, it's clawing?" Mrs. Tho rushed over in panic, but when she touched Lin's belly she recoiled. The skin was ice cold and hard as stone. Just then, a rhythmic tapping sounded at the mansion gate. The one-eyed old man and Huyen Tam had arrived. Mr. Locke opened the door, his face ashen. "Masters, you've come? Please save my daughter-in-law, she's acting strange." The one-eyed old man stepped inside, his gaze sweeping the room. The air was thick, reeking sharply of rot. He frowned. "This house has already been possessed. The yin energy is so strong the living can barely endure." Huyen Tam saw Lin on the bed. Pain shot through his eyes. He heard a whisper from Lin's belly. "It has chosen." He stepped back, sweat pouring, stammering, It's already in there." Mr. Locke hurriedly asked, "Tell me plainly, Masters. What is wrong with my wife?" The one-eyed old man said sternly, "The fetus has been taken over by a wandering spirit. If we do not exorcise it now, both mother and child will be consumed." Mrs. Tho burst into tears and fell to her knees. "Please, save my daughter-in-law, she's too young to die like this." Her cries echoed and made the room even colder. Black droplets began to seep from the ceiling, falling onto Lin's face. Each drop made her flesh twitch, as if something inside were responding. Suddenly Lin's eyes flew open. Her pupils were pitch black, her voice was hoarse and hollow. "No one can save her, it belongs to me." The air turned to ice. Mr. Locke stumbled back, his face white as chalk. Huyen Tam set his jaw and stepped forward, trembling as he offered the talisman. "You are not allowed here, leave?" Lin laughed, a shrill, chilling sound that filled the house. Her belly convulsed violently, as if hundreds of tiny hands were pounding against the skin, trying to break free. The one-eyed old man threw red powder onto Lin's abdomen and chanted. The wind howled, the house shook. The oil lamp went out, darkness swallowed the room. In the blackness, infants' cries rose in a cacophony with women's screams, sound crashing into ears until it felt like the head would burst. Huyen Tam clapped his hands over his ears, screaming, "Be silent, be quiet." But the wails only intensified, shaking the floor. The walls cracked open, revealing crevices, and from those fissures, bony hands reached out, scrambling and clawing. The air became so stifling no one could breathe. The house felt sealed, as if they were trapped inside a maze of blood. The one-eyed old man shouted, "Huyen Tam, light the charm now. Delay and we'll all die." Huyen Tam trembled, but his hand froze. A familiar voice echoed in his mind. "Son, don't kill her, she is my sister." He stood stunned, his eyes reddening. The string of talismans in his hand vibrated violently, flashing then going dark. Outside, thunder cracked as if heaven and earth themselves shuddered at whatever had taken hold of the mansion. In the suffocating darkness, only the howling wind battered the doors. The cries of children mingled with the moans of women, growing closer and closer. Mr. Locke trembled violently, pressing himself against the wall, stammering, "My God, what is this? How can there be such demons in my house?" Mrs. Tho collapsed to her knees, weeping, "Heavens above, please save my daughter." On the bed, Lin shot upright, her hair falling over her face. Her voice was low and guttural. "No longer human. None of you will take my child, it belongs to me." Her belly swelled, skin rippling as though something crawled beneath it. Mrs. Tho screamed, "Lin, can you hear me? Don't let it take you." Lin turned, her eyes blank white, lips twisting into a cold smile. "Lin? Who is Lin? The one inside is the real child, and I am no longer Lin." The room froze. No one dared move closer. The one-eyed old man slammed his staff on the floor, the echo booming. "Wretched soul, you still refuse to move on?" He traced a talisman into the air, red powder glowing. At once, Lin shrieked, tearing at the sheets with bloodied nails. From the rips poured black smoke, reeking of rot. Huyen Tam trembled but forced himself forward. "Leave her, let go of my sister." But inside his head, a whisper came, shaking. The voice of a woman. "Son, that is your sister, your own blood?" He froze, talisman shaking in his hand. "No, impossible, my mother is dead." The whisper grew clearer. "No, I never died. I'm here, in this house. Mansion 13 is my grave." Huyen Tam clutched his head, screaming, "Stop it, don't deceive me." Laughter erupted all around, dozens of voices at once. Lin lifted her head, eyes bleeding, her nails tearing open her blouse, revealing the taut belly. From within, a tiny hand pressed outward, its imprint pushing against the skin. Mr. Locke collapsed, his face ashen. "God, the child, it hasn't even been born and already." Suddenly, the window burst open, a freezing wind rushed in, extinguishing every flame. Darkness. From the blackness, Lin hissed with laughter. "It's almost here, its blood will return everything to me." Mrs. Tho cried until her voice broke. "No, Lin, you're my daughter-in-law. Don't listen to the spirits." But Lin staggered forward, clutching her belly, approaching Mrs. Tho, trembling. The older woman tried to back away, but Lin seized her hand, whispering in her ear, breath cold as ice, "Mother, help me deliver it." Mrs. Tho shrieked, shoving Lin away, falling to the ground in terror. The one-eyed old man roared, "Huyen Tam, now, burn the talisman." Huyen Tam stared at Lin, then at her belly. The whisper returned, clearer than ever, his mother's sweet, sorrowful voice. "If you kill it, you kill me too." His eyes burned red as he screamed, "Mother, where are you? Is it truly you?" The whisper stretched out, cold and merciless. "I am inside you, and inside that womb." Huyen Tam fell to his knees, his mind spinning. Around him, the house warped into a sea of blood, skeletal hands reaching from the walls, beckoning. The one-eyed old man tried to charge forward, to snatch the talisman, but as he touched it, a surge of black energy slammed him back against the wall. Blood spilled from his lips. The whole house shook violently. Oil lamps shattered, fire flared and then died. Darkness devoured everything, leaving only the pounding of frantic hearts. Lin threw back her head and screamed in madness. "It's coming! It's blood! It's blood!" From within her womb, a baby's cry pierced the silence, clear, sharp, as if newly born. The cry of a newborn echoed through the room, each wail scraping like nails across the mind. Lin writhed in agony, clutching her belly as blood seeped, staining the sheets deep red. Mrs. Tho collapsed, tears streaming down her face. "Oh God, Lin, hold on." Mr. Locke trembled, his hands clasped in prayer, muttering desperately, "Heavens, please save my family." Meanwhile, Huyen Tam stood frozen, his ears rang, hearing only a sweet, haunting whisper, drifting near and far. "My son, can you hear it? Your sister, she has been born." He grabbed his head, screaming, "No, this isn't real. Mother, don't deceive me." Chilling laughter answered, blending with the cries of the child. At that moment, Lin raised her head, her face pale, lips purple. She looked straight at Huyen Tam, her eyes streaked with red, her mouth twisted. "Brother, help me." Her voice was Lin's own, pleading, trembling. For a heartbeat, he faltered, his chest aching. But then her eyes rolled white, her mouth stretching into a grotesque smile. "No, you cannot save her. She belongs to me." Black smoke poured from Lin's mouth, twisting into the form of a woman, her long hair veiling her face. The stench of decay filled the room. The one-eyed old man staggered up, shouting hoarsely, "Huyen Tam, listen to me. Burn the talisman. If you don't, we all die here." Shaking, Huyen Tam stared at the charm in his hand, the last oil flame flickering weakly beside him. The child's cries grew louder, multiplying, as if dozens wailed at once. Mrs. Tho rushed forward, sobbing, clutching Lin. "No, my daughter-in-law, don't harm her." The shadow lashed out, wrapping around her and flinging her across the room. She struck the wall and collapsed, unconscious. Mr. Locke screamed. Tho. Ghastly laughter filled the house, tangled with shrill cries. Lin's body arched, her belly swollen as though something inside was tearing its way out. In that desperate moment, Huyen Tam clenched his teeth and thrust the talisman into the flame. It caught fire, bursting with light that filled the room. The black shadow shrieked, writhing, its woman's form curling in agony. "Ungrateful son, you've killed your own mother." The infant's cry cut off. Lin collapsed onto the bed, unconscious, blood soaking the sheets. The room fell silent, only ragged breaths remained. Huyen Tam stood trembling, eyes wet, muttering like a broken man. "Mother, who are you really? Why are you inside this house?" The one-eyed old man leaned on his staff, rasping, "You did what had to be done, but this is only the beginning. Mansion 13 is no ordinary place, its blood will not rest." Mr. Locke clutched his wife, sobbing, "God above, what kind of house is this?" The darkness seemed to ease, yet the stench of blood clung heavy. Outside, the wind howled, the door groaning as though someone waited beyond it. Lin lay pale and unconscious. Her belly had deflated, but a red streak stretched from her abdomen to her chest, like the imprint of a tiny hand beneath her skin. Huyen Tam saw it and his heart clenched. He whispered, It's still here." The oil lamp flickered, then went out. Darkness consumed the house. In the chilling silence, the faint cry of a child seeped from the walls. "Mother, mother?" That night, the whole family huddled in the small kitchen, the oil lamp guttering. Faces were hollow, eyes rimmed red, Mrs. Tho still trembled, leaning against a post with a strip of torn cloth tied to her forehead. Mr. Locke spoke in a heavy voice, trying to steady himself. "We can't keep living like this. This house will swallow our whole family." Huyen Tam sat with his knees hugged to his chest, silent. In his head the whispering never stopped. Every time the wind blew, he heard a child's soft voice calling, "Big brother." He clenched his fist so tight sweat poured down his face. "No, I don't have a sibling, stop calling me." The one-eyed old man cleared his throat, his voice hoarse. "It calls you, big brother. That proves there is bloodkin in this house." Mr. Locke frowned, uneasy. "You mean, whatever's inside Lin's belly is related to that child?" The old man nodded slowly. "This needs digging into the past. Mansion 13 doesn't belong to anyone. It was built on blood. Villagers never dared come near it for generations." Mrs. Tho trembled, clutching her chest. "So, what does it want? Why does it cling to Lin?" Outside, the wind howled and roof tiles squealed as if scratched by claws. Huyen Tam shot up, his eyes bloodshot. "It wants me, it keeps calling me, big brother." Silence fell over the house. In that hush, the clear, high laugh of children rang down the hallway. Then the tiny patter of little feet. Mrs. Tho gripped her husband's hand in fear. "Locke, someone's out there." Mr. Locke swallowed hard, took his cane, and shakily stepped out. The kitchen door stood ajar. The hallway beyond was pitch black. The children's laughter echoed, near then far. Suddenly, an old cloth ball rolled to his feet and stopped. He froze, stumbling back. "My God, is there really a child?" Huyen Tam stepped out, shaking, and looked at the ball. A whisper breathed cold into his ear. "Big brother, come out and play with me." He stood stunned, lips moving. "Who are you?" The whisper answered, fragmented like a passing breeze. "I was buried here, under this floor." At that instant the floorboards creaked. A streak of blood oozed from between the tiles. Spreading slowly, the family panicked and backed into the corner of the kitchen. The one-eyed old man planted his staff in the floor and growled. "A child's restless spirit, but it's not pure. It has been fed on years of vengeful blood." A chorus of children's cries suddenly erupted, as if dozens wailed at once. The kitchen door slammed. A cold gust snuffed the oil lamp. In the darkness the small voice called again, whispering directly into Huyen Tam's head. "Big brother, come down and play with me." He screamed, clapped his hands over his ears. But the call drilled into his skull. "Shut up, I'm not your brother." Yet when he looked down at the floor, he could clearly see a tiny bloody hand slowly pushing its way out from between the tiles. A tiny bloody hand pushed up from beneath the floor, its fingers twitching as if searching for someone. The child's cry blended with the soft, coaxing call. "Big brother, hold my hand, it's so cold." Huyen Tam stumbled backward, his back hitting the wall, his face drained of color. "Get away from me, I'm not your brother." Mrs. Tho clutched her husband, tears streaming. "My God, it sounds like a real child, but why is it so terrifying?" "Locke?" Mr. Locke gripped his cane, trembling, too afraid to step forward. Cold sweat broke out over his body. The one-eyed old man moved up, pulled from his robe a handful of rice soaked in rooster's blood, and threw it forcefully onto the floor. The moment the rice hit, white smoke burst up, the small hand curled, withdrew into the tile crack, and the crying faded. But then, hands began to push out from the walls on all sides. Small hands, larger hands, gray-tinted skin, blackened nails, clinging to the stone. The children's cries warped into agonized screams, sometimes like children, sometimes like women. Mrs. Tho fainted, collapsing into her husband's arms. Mr. Locke panicked, shaking his wife, stammering, "Tho, don't leave me." In the dark, a cold hand seized Huyen Tam's ankle and yanked hard. He fell face first, crying out, "Let go, let me go." He struggled, clawing at the dirt floor. From the cracked seams, tiny fingers continued to surface, winding around his ankles. "Big brother, don't leave me, it's so dark down here." The voice whispered right beside his ear, sobbing as if real. Huyen Tam ground his teeth. Eyes rimmed red. No, I don't have a sibling. Stop calling me. The one-eyed old man planted his staff and barked. Open your mouth and recite the charm, or it drags you down with it. He trembled, but his mouth felt frozen. In his head the sweet whisper returned. Son, don't be afraid. She is your blood. She just wants to see her brother. He screamed, clutching his head, unable to tell real from false. At that moment, from the end of the hall came the slow shuffle of footsteps. A gaunt woman with disheveled hair appeared, carrying a red-stained bundle wrapped in cloth. Approaching step by step, she sang a broken lullaby, soft and choked. Hush now, sleep, mother rocks you to sleep. The family stood frozen, their spines chilled. Mr. Locke stumbled back in terror. My God, that shadow, who is she? Mrs. Tho, who had fainted, suddenly snapped awake. Seeing the woman, she screamed at the top of her lungs. No, that witch. It's her. She came before, demanding Lin repay the debt of blood. The oil lamp flickered. The woman's figure drew nearer. From the red bundle, blood dripped with a sickening patter onto the floor. Her voice shrilled like metal. Give her back to me. The woman's shadow staggered closer. Long hair matted with blood hung over her face in wet clumps. In her arms the red-wrapped bundle squirmed, emitting small, childlike moans as if something alive lay inside. The lullaby cracked and dragged out, each word torn. Hush now, sleep well, if you wake, mother will lose you. The one-eyed old man slammed his staff into the floor and shouted hoarsely. Vengeful spirit of a woman, say what you want, don't scare innocent people. The figure froze and slowly lifted her head. Her skin was deathly pale, her eyes bloodshot, bloody tears streaming down her cheeks. She hissed, a voice like tearing night. Give me my child. You buried it under this floor and now you want to take my house. The floor cracked and split, blood spurted up in rivulets. The tiny hand from the fissure lunged out and waved, pleading. The child's crying swelled into a frantic, relentless keening. Huyen Tam trembled, his vision blurring. He murmured, Is it really my sibling? The whisper in his head answered, clear as if at his ear. Son, your mother already said, that is our blood, if you save it, I will forgive you. He collapsed, clutching his head, his heart pounding like it would burst. Mr. Locke panicked, dragging his wife into the corner and yelling, Don't trust it, Tam, that's a demon tricking you. Mrs. Tho sobbed and pointed at the woman's shadow. No, I know her, decades ago she appeared like this. She said this house was built over the grave of both her and her child. The woman screamed a ghastly wail, whipping the red bundle high, blood splattering everywhere. From the wrapping a newborn's head protruded, eyes rolled white, mouth agape, a shrill, ear-splitting cry. Huyen Tam screamed and thrashed, trying to pull free from the bloody hands latched to his legs. Let go, I'm not your brother. The one-eyed old man immediately traced a talisman and chanted. The charm flashed and he hurled it at the woman. A deafening crack resounded. The apparition screamed, its features contorting as its body shriveled. But then dozens of infant cries erupted simultaneously from the walls, hammering at everyone's ears. The oil lamp sputtered out. The whole kitchen plunged into a dense black. Only the red glow from the cracks in the floor lit Huyen Tam's ashen face. In the darkness the creepy whisper sounded once more. Big brother, mother waits for you down here. The tiles gave way, opening into a black pit that reeked of rot. Bloody hands grabbed at Huyen Tam's ankles and yanked with terrible force. He screamed, clawing at the table edge until his nails bled. Save me, don't let it pull me down. Mr. Locke and Mrs. Tho lunged forward, grabbing his hands in terror. The one-eyed old man slammed his staff down and roared, Tam, if you fall in, it's over. You must cut this blood tie yourself. Now. The children's cries thundered, shaking the house. The woman's laughter hissed, bone-chilling. You can't escape, blood debts demand blood? The kitchen door suddenly burst open, a gale gusted in, carrying the wailing from the deep forest. From the black pit dozens of red eyes opened at once, all staring up at Huyen Tam. The kitchen shook violently. Wind from the forest howled, sending sparks from the red blaze in the black pit flying everywhere. Huyen Tam screamed hoarsely as he was dragged downward. Bloody hands pulled, nails dug into his flesh. Mr. Locke and Mrs. Tho clung to him, faces ashen, sweat pouring. "Hold on, it's pulling too hard. Dear God, don't let the boy fall." The one-eyed old man planted his staff and raised the last talisman high, chanting in a low, mournful voice. With each incantation the air seemed to tear, and the bloody hands shriveled, curling in pain. The woman's shadow shrieked, clutching the sticky red bundle. "It's mine. Its blood belongs to me. No one will steal it." The floor continued to crack, widening into a circular pit like a well. In that hole dozens of newborn heads bobbed, eyes rolled white, all cackling together. Huyen Tam thrashed, crying out in agony, "Let me go, I'm not your child." A cold breath swept his face. A whisper, soft and sickly sweet, brushed his ear. "You are kin? You are the older brother? You must bring your sibling home?" His body trembled, his vision blurred. For a moment he saw himself as a child again, standing in a house of flames, his mother clutching him while screams. The clash of knives and rivers of blood roared behind. He croaked, "Mother, is that real?" Mr. Locke bellowed, trying to pull him back. "Don't listen to it. It's all lies. Tam, wake up." Mrs. Tho sobbed and gripped his hand. "If you let go, you're done for. Hold on, son." At that instant the red bundle in the woman's arms tore open. A filthy doll fell out. Its skull split, something writhing inside. It let out a shrill, childlike laugh mixed with a heartbreaking cry. The apparition lunged crazily toward Huyen Tam. The one-eyed old man pushed with all his strength and shouted, "Tam, draw your knife. Cut that blood cord wrapped around your leg. Quick." Huyen Tam looked down. Around his ankle a red, pulsing tendon of blood was coiling, tightening each loop and pulling him farther into the pit. His hands fumbled for the dagger in his jacket. Tears streamed. He cried out, "If I cut it, will it really end both of us?" The whisper returned, ragged and pleading, "Don't leave me, it's so cold." His hand raised the trembling blade. Mr. Locke screamed, "Cut it. If you don't, we'll all die." Mrs. Tho's voice broke as she pleaded, "Be strong, my child, save us." The air grew viscous. The cries swelled until his chest felt like it would burst. With a desperate yell, Huyen Tam brought the knife down. Blood spurted, the red cord snapped. The bloody hands burst into clouds of dark smoke. He was hauled free from the maw and fell onto the cold floor. The kitchen convulsed once more, then fell utterly silent. Only ragged breathing remained, but from the pit a voice whispered, distant and icy, "Big brother, you won't escape." The tiles closed as if no crack had ever been there. The kitchen was deathly silent, the only light a flickering oil lamp casting pale shadows across their faces. Mrs. Tho trembled, clutching Huyen Tam's arm. "Are you in pain, child? Dear God, so much blood." Mr. Locke frowned, tearing his shirt to bind Tam's ankle. But crimson kept seeping through. "We have to stop the bleeding. If not, his spirit will weaken. Easy prey for whatever haunts this place." The one-eyed old man sank to one knee, leaning hard on his staff, his voice rough. "This house, it's not just a den of spirits. It's a mouth. All this time, it's been swallowing people whole." No one dared speak. The wind outside whistled through the cracks, carrying with it the metallic stench of blood. Suddenly, Lynn doubled over, clutching her belly, drenched in sweat. "God, the pain? My stomach." Mrs. Tho panicked. "Daughter-in-law, hold on, not now. Please, not now." Mr. Locke stared at her convulsing belly, eyes wide. "That's not labor, this is something else." From inside Lynn's stomach came a sharp tapping. Knock, 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 then silence. The air froze. Everyone heard it. Lynn screamed, rolling on the floor, clutching her belly. "Something's inside. It's trying to get out." The oil lamp sputtered out. Darkness swallowed the room. Laughter, childlike, high-pitched, echoed from all around. Huyen Tam forced himself up despite the bleeding, dragging himself toward Lynn, Don't be afraid, I'm here. The darkness bled into crimson patches. The kitchen walls seeped blood, rivulets dripping to the floor. A baby's wail echoed, near then far, over and over. A tiny voice whispered by Lynn's ear. "Mommy, open the door, let me out." She shook violently, teeth clenched. "No, I won't give birth to a monster. You won't come out." At once, her stomach swelled grotesquely, blue veins writhing like webs. Something inside clawed and kicked, distorting her flesh in waves. Mr. Locke shouted, voice cracking, "Tie her down. If that thing escapes, we're all finished." The one-eyed old man pulled silk cords soaked in talisman ink and bound her belly tight. Lynn shrieked, eyes rolling back, her voice no longer human. From the dark came that same broken whisper, dragging each word. "Mommy, open, it's so cold." The kitchen shook. Tiles rained down from the roof. The ancestor altar toppled, the incense urn crashing, ash spiraling into the air. The fire in the stove flared suddenly, searing the shadows from every face. And in that blaze, all of them saw it, reflected in Lynn's eyes. Two tiny figures, children, a boy and a girl. Faces bruised and bloodied, they pressed close to her pupils, smiling with chilling sweetness. "Mommy, we're here?" Lynn screamed, thrashing like a fish on dry land. The talisman cord cut deep into her swollen belly, blood oozing in dark streams. "It hurts. I can't take it anymore. Somebody, please save me." Mr. Locke trembled, eyes locked on the two childlike shadows burned into Lynn's pupils. "She's been taken by spirit infants. Once they root inside the womb, driving them out is near impossible." Mrs. Tho clutched her chest, sobbing, "Dear God, my poor daughter-in-law." Suddenly, eerie laughter rang out, chilling the air. Lynn's belly swelled even larger, as if ready to burst. From inside came the sound of frantic pounding, knock, 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 as if tiny fists and feet were hammering to break free. The one-eyed old man slammed his staff against the ground, his rasping voice filled with dread. "They must never be born. If they emerge, they'll claim this mansion as their own." The kitchen darkened, shadows swirling, blood streamed down the walls, and crimson hands reached out, clawing their way toward Lynn. Exhausted but resolute, Huyen Tam dragged himself to her side, pressing his palms together in prayer. "If someone must suffer, let it be me. Don't let her face this alone." Mr. Locke shouted hoarsely, his voice breaking, "No, if you get pulled in too, we're finished." But it was already too late. Two small, palm-sized figures pushed against Lynn's taut belly, distorting the skin, their twisted faces pressed outward, shrieking, "Mommy, we're here." The fire roared in the stove, flooding the kitchen with blinding light. A crack split open beneath Lynn, glowing red like fresh blood. She was dragged downward, eyes rolled white, mouth tearing in a scream. "Don't leave me. Save me, please." Huyen Tam lunged, clutching her tight even as bloody hands dragged them both toward the gaping maw. The one-eyed old man, shaking, drew forth his final talisman. Raising it high, he roared, "Heavenly fire, burn away this cursed blood." The talisman burst into golden flames. The kitchen quaked, bloody hands shrieked and shriveled. The two child shadows within Lynn's eyes wailed shrilly before dissolving into black smoke. The crack sealed shut. Lynn collapsed unconscious in Huyen Tam's arms. Blood still seeped across the tiles, but the dreadful knocking within her belly had gone silent. Everyone slumped to the ground, drenched in sweat, lungs heaving. Mr. Locke scanned the ruined kitchen, his voice low and grim. "This isn't over. The house, it's only testing us. What comes next will be worse." In the darkness, from the far corner of the room, a whisper drifted like wind through a grave. "Brother, your blood debt remains unpaid?" Rain battered the forest. Thunder rolled and lightning flashed, then died away, leaving a thick, suffocating darkness. In the battered kitchen, the oil lamp guttered, revealing each ashen face. Lynn lay unconscious, breathing shallowly. Mrs. Tho sat close by, occasionally fanning her daughter-in-law. Mr. Locke lit a cigarette with trembling hands, his voice rough. "We can't stay in the kitchen forever. This place is filthy and exposed. We need to find another room to hide in, if they come. We're done for." The one-eyed old man nodded, his remaining eye rimmed red. "Let's go. But remember, every step in this mansion is like stepping into a trap." They supported one another down the long, yawning hallway. Rain drummed on the roof. Yet oddly no drops fell inside. The air was thick and damp, a fetid mix of mold and metallic blood that made breathing hard. Huyen Tam leaned on a wooden crutch, each step slow and painful. Every gust of cold wind sent a jolt through the wound on his ankle. As if something writhed beneath his skin, he shivered but kept quiet. At the end of the hall, a heavy wooden door appeared. Its surface was carved with twisted glyphs, and faint bloody handprints showed through the grime. Mr. Locke drew a deep breath, trying to steady his voice. "The ancestral shrine. It's the only place in this house the spirits dread. If we're lucky, we can hold out until morning." They pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was pitch black except for lightning splintering through the window. A large altar sat at the center, thick with dust, incense cold in its bowl. A row of old portraits hung on the wall, the faces blurred, eyes clouded, as if watching their every move. Mrs. Tho shuddered and whispered, Why do the eyes in those pictures look alive?" The wind moaned. Then, slowly, each frame trembled. The faded eyes in the portraits began to glow, a dim ember red. Huyen Tam paled and took a step back, murmuring, "No, don't look at me like that." An old woman's voice rasped from the corner, each word drawn out. "Their blood, still unpaid, the debt remains." They all whirled around. In the dark corner sat a gaunt figure, hair hanging over its face, knees hugged to its chest. Her white garment clung wet and heavy, stained in dark patches. She raised her head. Her face had no eyes, only two black hollows, blood continually seeping from them. "You've come to take our place?" The room lurched. Portraits clattered down onto the floor but did not break. Each frame snapped open at once. Where canvas should have been were human faces, pale, rigid, eyes wide and unblinking. Mr. Locke recoiled against the wall, voice shaking. "My God, those aren't paintings, they're mummified corpses." Mrs. Tho clutched her chest and screamed, "Saints preserve us." The whisper rose again, filling the room and riding the wind. "It's your turn now." The rain outside suddenly stopped. No thunder, no wind, only a deathly hush settled over the room. The eyeless figure rose slowly, limping with each step until its heels clicked on the wooden floor. Blood dripped from the hollow sockets in slow, sickening drops. Blood debt must be paid in blood. Huyen Tam clutched his chest, breathing hard. The familiar, icy whisper returned inside his head. "Big brother, they won't let go. You must bring your sibling home." He pressed his hands to his ears and screamed, "Shut up, I don't owe anyone anything." But the whisper echoed on, as if coming from within his very ribs. Mrs. Tho gripped her husband's hand, trembling. "Please, let's get out. I can't stay here any longer." Mr. Locke scanned the room, face ashen. The back door they'd entered by had vanished, replaced by a bare wall slick as raw flesh. "We're trapped." At that instant, every mummy portrait opened its eyes at once. Pupils glowed blood red, fixed on each of them. Their mouths twitched and a low, mournful sound rose up. Stay with us." The one-eyed old man swung his staff with all his strength and intoned a charm. But before the words finished, the nearest portrait burst open and a dried corpse lunged out at him. "Watch out!" cried Mr. Locke. Chaos erupted. Corpses spilled from the frames. All knobby limbs and skin stretched tight over bone. Reeking of rot, they dragged themselves forward, moaning like the wind through a hollow pipe. One of them grabbed Huyen Tam's leg. He kicked and screamed hoarsely, "Let me go. You're dead already." Blood spurted from the old wound on his ankle, dark and bright on the tile. The corpses turned as one, eyes blazing red, and surged toward him like a feeding frenzy. Living blood, they howled. Mr. Locke swung the sacrificial knife from the altar, hacking at them, but for every body felled another seemed to rise. Each corpse that collapsed dissolved into a puff of black smoke and merged with the wall, only to spawn new corpses moments later. Mrs. Tho fell to her knees, weeping. "Gods above, someone save my family." Amid the melee, the eyeless figure moved straight to where Lin lay, still unconscious. Barely breathing on her mat, it bent over her and, with long, crooked fingers, touched her belly, whispering, "The child of blood must belong to me." Huyen Tam snapped, charging forward, ignoring the clinging dead crawling across his back. He roared, his voice tearing, "Don't you dare touch her!" Huyen Tam lunged forward, his hand blazing with a pale blue flame. He brushed off the clinging dried corpses and dropped to his knees to shield Lin. "If you want it, take me instead." The eyeless figure stilled. From its hollow sockets 2 rivulets of thick black blood dripped and splattered hot onto Huyen Tam's chest. It tilted its head and whispered in a hoarse rasp, "The blood of kin? I've waited so long." Mrs. Tho trembled and backed into a corner. "Oh God," it said, "kin, could it be?" Mr. Locke stared dumbfounded, his face drained of color. "Good heavens, who is it?" The one-eyed old man shouted over the roar of the storm. "It's Huyen Tam's mother. Her spirit was trapped here after a failed ritual. She hungers for the blood of her descendants to take revenge." For a beat the room fell silent. Rain hammered the roof again. Huyen Tam stood frozen, his lips trembling. "No, my mother's dead. She can't be this." But the whisper echoed through his mind, each word clear. "Why did you leave me alone? Your mother's blood still stains your hands." He clutched his head and screamed like a madman. "Stop, don't say that." At once the dried corpses surged. Mr. Locke and Mrs. Tho hacked and swung in a frenzy. The clash of bone and the stench of rot overwhelming. The one-eyed old man drew sigils on the floor and intoned an incantation. A ring of pale blue fire flared up around Huyen Tam and Lin. Any corpse that touched the flame burst into roaring flame and writhed in agony. But the eyeless figure remained untouched. It reached through the fire and laid a cold hand on Huyen Tam's shoulder. A chill ran down his spine. "Come back to your mother?" At that moment Lin regained consciousness. Her eyes flew open, but reflected a terrible red. Her belly convulsed as if something inside was battering to get out. She whispered, It wants to come out, help me." Huyen Tam clutched her fiercely, howling in desperation. "Mother, if there's any love left in you, spare this child, take my life instead." The eyeless figure paused. Blood welled and dripped from its empty sockets. It tilted its head and hissed, "Blood for blood, you have been chosen." A gust of cold wind slammed through, tossing everyone aside. Mr. Locke and Mrs. Tho were thrown against the wall. The sacrificial knife flew from their hands. The one-eyed old man was knocked down, his burning talismans cracking as the protective circle broke. Only Huyen Tam remained in the center, holding Lin, facing the ghost of his mother. Through the screaming wind he heard a thin, high child's laugh from within Lin's womb. "I'm coming, mother." Huyen Tam's face went deathly pale, ice ran through his limbs. He realized, the baby was no longer Lin's. The room shook, cracks spread through the walls. From those fissures bony hands speared out and began dragging everything toward the darkness. Mr. Locke panicked. "Run, run before we all die." Mrs. Tho wailed, tears pouring. "I can't stay here, someone save me." The one-eyed old man flung his last talisman and blue fire erupted. He roared, "Tam, decide now. Sacrifice yourself or let the whole mansion swallow you." In that instant Huyen Tam tightened his hold on Lin. Tears streaming, he looked up at the eyeless figure and, hoarse, said, "If this truly is my mother, I'll go with you. But spare her, spare the child." The figure stood motionless. Slowly it bent and placed its cold hand on Huyen Tam's head. A red light flashed. He cried out in pain as his body jerked. Lin screamed at the top of her lungs. The room erupted in a cacophony of cries and then exploded into a blinding, earth-shaking roar. A thunderous blast rocked the room, walls trembled violently. The stench of smoke, blood, and burning flesh slammed into their throats. The entire space seemed torn out of reality. When the dust and smoke settled, Lin opened her eyes to find herself lying in a wide, soggy courtyard glittering with blood. She struggled to sit up, her belly still moved faintly. But Huyen Tam was nowhere at her side. "Tam, where are you?" Her voice trembled, thin and swallowed by the cold wind. Mr. Locke, Mrs. Tho, and the one-eyed old man each hauled themselves up from different corners. Pale and shell-shocked, from the center of the yard a familiar figure stepped forward. It was Huyen Tam, but his eyes blazed red and his face was grotesquely stretched, as if something had pulled at his skin. Black veins webbed across his flesh, crawling down his neck and arms. Lin crawled toward him in panic. "Tam, what's wrong? Don't scare me." When her hand touched him, he shrugged her off, his voice hoarse and alien. "Go away, I'm not me anymore." Mr. Locke stared in disbelief. "Good God, he's possessed." The one-eyed old man leaned on his staff and shook his head bitterly. "No, he willingly offered his soul to the trapped spirit in this mansion. Now he is both Tam and a demon." The air grew thick and viscous. Above them, black clouds churned and thunder rolled non-stop. The mansion's broken walls reconstructed themselves around the group, as if they'd been sealed inside a giant cage. Mrs. Tho buried her face and screamed, "Return us, I can't take this any longer." From the dense darkness behind Huyen Tam, the familiar whisper of the mother rose again. "Son, now you and I are one, together, we will imprison new souls." Huyen Tam trembled, clutching his head as he howled hoarsely. "No, I don't want to do evil. I don't want to kill anyone." Blood streamed from his nose and eyes, dripping onto the damp ground. Lin grabbed his shirt and pleaded, holding her belly, "Wake up, look at me, I'm still alive. Our child is still here, don't abandon me." Her cries were raw and desperate. The darkness behind Tam stretched outward like a massive shadow, arms opening to engulf the whole group. Mr. Locke bellowed, voice shaking, "Get out of here, now, or it'll swallow us all." But when they tried to flee, every direction closed to reveal only black walls, no escape. The one-eyed old man pulled a rain-damp joss stick from his robe and murmured the final charm. He looked at Huyen Tam with grim resolve. "Tam, to break the curse there is only one way. You must cut the bloodline yourself. Sever the vein binding you to the restless spirit." The air felt suffocating, all eyes fixed on Huyen Tam, trembling in the center, torn between his mother's pull and Lin's pleading cries. He tilted his face to the sky and shouted, "God, what am I supposed to do?" The wind howled through the pitch-black walls. The sky seemed to collapse, thunder crashing again and again, shaking the ground beneath them. Huyen Tam stood in the middle of the courtyard, his eyes blood-red, his body trembling. Two voices overlapped in his head, one gentle, whispering asterisk, "Son, asterisk," the other hoarse, shrieking asterisk, "Kill them all." He clutched his head, dropped to his knees, his voice breaking apart. "I can't take it anymore." Lin rushed forward, wrapping her arms tightly around him from behind, tears burning hot against his shoulder. "Please, listen to me, don't let it control you, you still have me. You still have our child?" Tam shuddered violently, but from inside Lin's belly, a child's laughter rang out, shrill and piercing. "Mother, I want to come out." Lin's face went white, she grabbed her stomach and screamed, "No, that's not my child." Mr. Locke staggered backward, sweat pouring down his face. "Dear God, the fetus has been possessed." Mrs. Tho wailed, "Save her, don't let the girl give birth to a demon." The one-eyed old man stepped forward, shoving a rusted blade into Tam's hand, his voice harsh, "Only you can decide, either kill yourself, sever the bloodline, or we all die." The knife trembled in his grip, its edge flashing beneath the lightning. From the shadows behind him, the figure of his mother emerged more clearly, long tangled hair, two hollow sockets bleeding endlessly, her mouth stretched into a grotesque smile. "My son, be good, obey your mother, together we'll keep this soul." Tam broke down, sobbing like a child. He looked at Lin, at her convulsing belly, his voice cracked. "Forgive me," Lin screamed in despair, clutching his hand. "Don't, If you do this, how can I live? How can our child live? The eerie laughter echoed again from her womb, shrill as knives scraping against his ears. I want blood, I want out. Tam's eyes burned crimson, veins bulging across his body. He raised the knife, pressing its tip against his throat. Mr. Locke covered his eyes, trembling. Don't look. Mrs. Tho collapsed, sobbing. God, don't make him do this. The one-eyed old man snarled. Do it now. If you hesitate, the spirit will consume us all. The blade sliced across his skin. Red blood poured down, splattering onto the wet ground. Instantly, the mother's ghost shrieked in agony, her form shattering into fragments, dragged into the void. But at the same time, Tam collapsed, his breath ragged and fading. Lin clutched him, wailing in madness. No, don't leave me, please. His vision dimmed, but his lips struggled to form words. Faint and broken. Live, raise our child, never, come back here? The last drop of blood seeped into a black crack on the ground. A blinding white light exploded, sweeping away the darkness. The black walls crumbled. The howling wind fell silent. An eerie stillness settled. The group lay sprawled on the damp earth. When they lifted their heads, Mansion 13 was gone. Only a ruined wasteland remained, wind whistling through toppled brick columns. And beside Lin, Huyen Tam's body lay cold and motionless. The rain stopped. The sky began to clear, but the air remained heavy, thick with the stench of blood. Lin clutched Huyen Tam in her arms, her trembling hand stroking his face. Her lips quivered, her voice choked in her throat. Tam, please wake up. I'm begging you. But his face was motionless. His eyes shut tight, his skin turning colder by the second. Mr. Locke stood nearby, his face gaunt, voice unsteady. He sacrificed himself to save us all. Mrs. Tho collapsed to the ground, sobbing until no sound came out. Poor boy, he was still so young. The one-eyed old man sighed, his dark eyes shaking, his shoulders trembling. He ended the century-old curse, but the price was his own life. The air was deathly silent, broken only by Lin's muffled sobs carried by the wind. She pressed her ear to his chest, catching the faintest trace of warmth. Suddenly, her belly twisted sharply. She gasped, clutching herself as she fell to the ground. Mr. Locke panicked. Dear God, she's going into labor. Mrs. Tho trembled, quickly kneeling beside her. Breathe, child, don't give up now. The one-eyed old man scowled, hurriedly laying out the few talismans he had left around Lin. He muttered, we must protect this child from the tainted spirit, or Tam's sacrifice will be for nothing. That night, on the cold ground among shattered ruins, the cry of a newborn rang out. Strangely, it was no longer the eerie laugh from before. This was a cry pure and frail, but filled with life. Lin burst into tears, cradling the child, her voice shaking. My baby, you are the last hope for me, and for your father. The others looked on, tears streaming down their faces. Each of them knew that fragile life was proof of Tam's great sacrifice. The one-eyed old man's voice rasped. The spirit is gone. The mansion is destroyed, but this land remains cursed. No one must ever return. Together, they left the accursed place. The night wind howled through the crumbling bricks, carrying a faint echo like a farewell. Son, at last. You are free? Lin looked back, tears falling. For a moment, she saw Tam's figure standing on the barren ground, smiling gently, his eyes soft, before fading into the mist. Years later, the haunted land where Mansion 13 once stood was nothing but an empty field, overgrown with weeds and thorns. Locals never dared approach, yet sometimes, people whispered that if you passed by at midnight, you might hear the wind carrying a lullaby. Hush, sleep well, your father is with you, forever? The sound chilled anyone who heard it, yet it carried a sorrow too deep to name. A century-old curse had been broken, with blood, with tears, and with the sacrifice of one son. But the darkness of the night, had it truly vanished? Or does it still linger, hiding somewhere close? This story comes to an end. Thank you for listening until the very last moment. If you enjoyed it, Please support the channel with a like and a subscription. That is our greatest motivation to keep bringing you more chilling tales. If you have questions or feedback, feel free to leave a comment below. Bong Toi Trong Dem asterisk bids you farewell. And we'll meet again in the next story. The content in this video is a fictional horror story, created purely for entertainment and to deliver a haunting experience to the audience. We do not promote superstition, nor encourage any dangerous actions mentioned in the tale. Any resemblance to actual persons, places, or events is purely coincidental. Thank you sincerely for supporting Bong Toi Trong Dem asterisk.